ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिगोरान की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री जमुना माई गंगा माई भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय। Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Pramananda Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. Jai Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text 14. Yad Bandhava Kuru Balabdim Anantaparam Eko Ratena Tatare Aham Atira Satvam Pratyaritam Bahu Dhanam Cha Maya Paresham Tejasparam Manimaya Charita Sirobhya Yadbandava Kuru Balabdim Anantaparam Eko Ratena Tatare Ham Atirya Satvam Patyahritam Bahudanam Chamaya Paresha Tejasparam Manimayam Charitam Sirobhya Yat Bandhava Kuru Balabdim Anantaparam Eko Ratena Tatare Hamatirya Satvam Pratyahritam Bahudanam Chamaya Paresham Tejaspadam Manimayam Charitam Sirobhya Yad Bandhava Kuru Balabdim Anantaparam Eko Ratena Tatare Hamatirya Satvam Patyahritam Bahudanam Chamaya Paresham Tejaspadam Manimayam Charitam Sirobhya Yad Bandhava Kuru Balabdim Anantaparam Eko Ratena Tatare Hamatirya Satvam Patyahritam Bahudanam Chamaya Paresham Tejasparam Manimayam Charitam Sirobhya Yad bandhava kurubalabdhim anantaparam. Ekoratena vegamatirya sattvam. Padyaritam bahudanam chamaya paresham. Tejaspadam manimayam charitam sirobhya. Yad bandhava kurubalabdhim anantaparam. Ekoratena tatareha matirya sattvam. Patyaritam bahudanam chamaya paresham. Tejaspadam manimayam charitam sirobhya. Yad bandhava kurubalabdhim anantaparam. Ekoratena tatareya matirya sattvam. Patyaritam bahudanam chamaya paresham. Tejasparam manimayam charitam sirobhya. Mataji's. Yad bandhava kurubalabdhim anantaparam. Ekoratena tatareha matirya sattvam. Patyaritam bahudanam chamaya paresham. Tejasparam manimayam charitam sirobhya. Yad bandhava kurubalabdhim anantaparim. Ekoratena tatarega matirya sattvam. Pratyaritam bahujanam chamaya paresham. Tejasparam manimayam charitam sirobhya. Yat bandhava, by whose friendship only. Kuru bala abdim, the ocean of the military strength of the Kurus. Anantaparam, which was insurmountable. Eka, alone. Ratena, being seated on the chariot. Tatare, was able to cross over. Aham, myself. Atirya, invincible. Sattvam, existence. Patyarita, drew back. Bahu, very large quantity. Dhanam, wealth. Cha, also. Maya, by my. Paresham, of the enemy. Teja aspadam, source of brilliance. Manimayam, bedecked with jewels. Cha, also. Ritam, taken by force. Shirobhya, from their heads. Translation. The military strength of the Kauravas was like an ocean in which there dwelt many invincible existences, and thus it was insurmountable. But because of his friendship, I, seated in the chariot, was able to cross over it, and only by his grace was I able to regain the cows and also collect by force many helmets of the kings which were bedecked with jewels that were sources of all brilliance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. On the Kaurava's side there were many stalwart commanders like Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and Karna, and their military strength was insurmountable as the great ocean. And yet, it was due to Lord Krishna's grace that Arjuna alone, sitting on the chariot, could manage to vanquish them one after another without difficulty. There were many changes of commanders on the other side, but on the Pandava's side, Arjuna alone on the chariot driven by Lord Krishna could manage the whole responsibility of the great war. Similarly, when the Pandavas were living at the palace of Virata incognito, the Kauravas picked a quarrel with King Bharata and decided to take away his large number of cows. While they were taking away the cows, Arjuna fought with them incognito and was able to regain the cows along with some booty taken by force, the jewels set on the turbans of the royal order. Arjuna remembered that all this was possible by the grace of the Lord. Yad bandava kurubalabde mananta para mekora tena tatare hamatirya satvam pratyaritam bahudanam chamaya paresham tejasparam manimayam charitam sirobhya. The military strength of the Kauravas was like an ocean in which there dwelled many invincible existences, and thus it was insurmountable. But because of his friendship, I, seated on the chariot, was able to cross over it. And only by his grace was I able to regain the cows and also collect by force many helmets of the kings, which were bedecked with jewels that were sources of all brilliance. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances to his lotus feet. So herein, Arjuna was empowered by Lord Krishna. Without Lord Krishna's empowerment, Arjuna was even though he conquered so many Maharatis, men who could kill thousands of soldiers. When Krishna left the planet and Arjuna was not receiving his mercy, he was overcome by a small band of dacoits. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. That by the mercy of the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a dumb man can speak eloquent words and a lame man can cross over mountains. This is the power, the empowerment of Lord Krishna. Just like we've experienced the empowerment of Lord Krishna to Srila Prabhupada, on Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes people would ask, I think this John Leonard asked, Zappa Swami, show us some miracles, because generally from India, gurus, they like to show miracles. They can do all kinds of fancy things. We were doing kirtan for one guru, so-called. He wore very long sleeves. I roll my sleeves up, so there's nothing up my sleeve. He wore long sleeves. And one by one, people would come up, and he'd give them some ring or some deities, He gave me some deity of Radha and Krishna. And on the back of the deity, it said, "Made in India." So I asked his big leaders. He had the long sleeves and he was producing miracle things. How come it says made in India if he produced it? Why is it stamped on the back, made in India? I was trying to be respectful, but I had this question. And his senior disciple explained to me that he doesn't manifest it out of thin air. He gets it from another place and brings it to this place. So I said, so you mean he got this murti, little murti, in the bazaar, in the marketplace in India? He said, yeah. And he transferred it to here and gave it to me. He said, yeah. I said, isn't that like spiritual, so-called spiritual thievery, stealing? And he smiled and said, yeah. So this is there, even if he did, which he didn't. He had a suitcase later I saw of knickknacks, rings and all kinds of things, and I don't know exactly how you plant them up your sleeves, but you know, they even the modern magicians, when they perform their magic, they say, nothing up my sleeve. He didn't do that, because all these things were up his sleeve. So these yogis, they like to perform some miracle. They even write books, and in it they show all the miracles that they performed that were bestowed upon them. So they asked Srila Prabhupada, show us some miracles. Where's your miracle? And Prabhupada looked around the room and pointed to the Western devotees. No offense, Indian devotees. But to the Western devotees, and said, this is my miracle. That these mudhas, at best, these debauchees, had no idea. Nate vidu swagagitim hi Vishnu durashaya. Had no idea what is the goal of life. We're taking false shelter of so much sense gratification and intoxication. Yet now, I'm not paying them, Prabhupada said, but they're taking to Krishna consciousness and they're engaging in devotional service without any reward materially. They're engaging and they're becoming pure devotees. Prabhupada himself, who can imagine? I know my brother-in-law and sister, I had to go and we spread the ashes of my mother this last weekend in Arizona at a funeral parlor, funeral place, outdoor burial place. And my brother and sister this last year both had heart attacks. And they're barely able to do anything except eat. They're still eating so many abominable things. I've tried to reason with them. Now you've had a heart attack. Please eat vegan, vegetarian, something. Krishnatarian. Please. But they're eating broiled animal instead of fried animal. And they're thinking this is advancement. But as we were playing kirtan, me and my son, at the memorial site, coincidentally, my parents are there, and somehow or other, Savas and Naikatma's parents are in the same memorial, in Evergreen Memorial in Tucson. I think if your parents pass away, send them there, please. Tucson, Arizona. So my sister went to the grave of my father, and with the ashes, ready to pour some ashes, she said, "Mom, now you're finally going to join Dad and all his relatives in heaven at that big dinner table. Uncle Izzy, Uncle Charlie, Grandpa, who I never met, they've all been waiting for, in her estimation, for dozens of years for Marcia to come and eat at the dinner table next to Bill." This was her concept. I asked my son, Ramnomi, I said, how is she thinking that this is what goes on in heaven? And he said politely, look at her. Her only joy in life is eating. So she has the conception that when you die, you go to a place where you sit at a table and always eat and yap about whatever was going on with this one and that one and the other one. And I thought, Nate vidu swarga gatim hi Vishnu. They have no idea. What is the spiritual world? What is the material world? What is hell? The hellish worlds? Where you go when you leave this body? My father had died 16 years ago. He's already 16 if she's a newborn. The whole thing was bizarre of her speech. And we continued chanting Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai and Hari Krishna Mahamantra during their ceremony, during the little ceremony there with the immediate family. So I was thinking that these two people, they're 70, my older sister and her husband, brother-in-law, and they had a heart attack this last year. And practically they had to be pushed in a wheelchair. They can't do anything. But our Srila Prabhupada, he was 70. He had 2 heart attacks on the Jaladuta, coming to America, 70 years old, just starting his preaching mission. 2 heart attacks, and Srila Prabhupada worked so hard and established so many temples, wrote so many books, and made so many devotees. Prabhupada looked around the room when he was asked, where's your miracle? Here's my miracle. These persons were formerly debauchees of the highest order, and now they're chanting Hare Krishna and serving Lord Krishna, serving me, Prabhupada said, and serving Lord Krishna with no reward. They become devotees. Prabhupada said, I've turned hippies into happies. That was Srila Prabhupada's statement. This is the great miracle. So, Mukam Karoti Vachalam. By the mercy of Lord Krishna, just like Arjuna, he was able to defeat the Pandavas. Our Srila Prabhupada, at an advanced age, now that our devotees are becoming 70, 75, 80, they've got this disease, that disease, the other. We won't even mention all the diseases. And they're struggling. Srila Prabhupada, we'd go on a morning walk. I was 22-year-old man, first time I went on walk with Prabhupada in India. And my side, I was in good shape. And my side was hurting like I was running. Prabhupada was walking so fast on the morning walk. You can listen to the morning walk lectures and you could hear the beat of the cane. It's so fast. At that time, I think Srila Prabhupada must have been 1975. Srila Prabhupada was 80 years old externally. Who can imagine what to speak? Srila Prabhupada was traveling around the world. What was it, 11 times? 13 times? Traveling all around the world. Japan, Russia, everywhere. Of course, America, all throughout Europe and South America, Australia, traveling every few days to preach and to make people Krishna conscious, accepting so many disciples. One Kirtanwala, so-called, was at a festival. Temple Bhajan Band was playing there. I was standing with Banabhata Prabhu as this gentleman was doing his chanting. A lot of people chanting with him and oohing and awing. He even said that here's a mantra, it's been given a bad name, but it's not the mantra's fault. And we were thinking, wait a second. He chanted Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna does not have a bad name. And it's no one's fault that someone thinks something about the Hare Krishnas. But this yo-yo yum yum tanum bhakta, this yo-yo was saying, and then he went on to say, my spiritual master, so-called, shined like the sun. He said, he didn't translate any books, he didn't make any disciples, he didn't build any temples, but he shined like the sun and we bathed in his sunshine. I had to hold Banabhata back from pulling out this rascal's tongue. He was talking about our Srila Prabhupada. He said at a festival, and after he said, oh, he shined like the sun, he didn't build temples, he didn't distribute literature, translate literature, he didn't make disciples. How is he a guru if he didn't make disciples? And the crowd went, mostly ladies, yoginis, went, ah. He shined like the sun. We bathed in his sunshine. The Guru is shining. Even at Atlanta Airport, one of the, what are they called? Sky caps said, is that your Guru? To the devotees, they said, yes. He said, my God, he's shining. He's brilliant, he's shining. He could see. The spiritual master is shining. We don't lay around and bathe in his sunshine. People, they go to Venice Beach to sunbathe. I could never understand the significance of sunbathing. You lay and get burned by the sun, or so you can become dark, but we don't like dark people, but I want to become dark. I never understood this whole philosophy of bathing in the sun. What's the purpose? I could never see that. Devotees don't bathe in the sunshine of the Guru. Devotees are serving the sunshine of the Guru, and they become empowered. They become so empowered, just like Srila Prabhupada started the BBT. And he told some devotees, you do the book buying, you do the book editing, you do the... And no one had any experience. Even I came to Los Angeles to be the treasurer of the BBT. My only experience was that in high school I was the treasurer of my class. I think I dealt with about $75 in the 4 years I was treasurer of my class. But devotees are asked to do different jobs. Even they had no knowledge how to put together BTG, how to distribute. In the early days of ISKCON, devotees would go out with a Harinam party and a conch shell and pass out BTGs and stick out the conch shell so people could put nickels and quarters and dimes and pennies in the conch shell. And they'd get maybe $7 a day from the whole Sankirtan party. Then Krishna empowered Srila Prabhupada preach in the early 70s. He started his BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, and all these people came forward, not the beatniks that had previously joined in the early mid-60s and late 60s. But socially, if you study this Krishna consciousness movement, it was wheelers and dealers all of a sudden joined the movement, both men and women. Cheerleaders and athletes and people who knew the streets, people who knew how to deal with people. They weren't beatniks. They were suburban pseudo-hippies. And they were empowered by Srila Prabhupada to distribute so many books. Here, they would give the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a humongous book. It has the Panchatattva on the cover. And devotees were walking up, sometimes in dhoti and kurta and sari. Sometimes we were in disguise. We wore a kurta and a vest in the early 70s and shaved head and tilak, and approach people and give them Chaitanya Charitamrita. And people were struck. Devotees weren't frightened because they were empowered by Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. They were able to distribute so many books. Even this Sarvabhauma, who usually comes to class, who's now with a cane, One day in the early mid-70s, he went out and distributed 108 Srimad Bhagavatams. No one had ever broken that barrier before. And he wasn't the best book distributor. But he had faith in Lord Krishna and love for Srila Prabhupada. And he was empowered, just like our Srila Prabhupada. He was empowered directly by his spiritual master and Lord Krishna to open so many temples and make thousands of disciples and translate so many books. Srila Prabhupada had told someone, I think it was in New York, in the early days, we have 50 books, all 400 pages or more. And at that time there were 2 books. We have 100 temples of Lord Krishna, and we have 10,000 devotees. Because that was to come. Prabhupada knew. Even in 1974, we were in Golden Gate Park for the Rath Yatra festival. At that time, maybe there were 12 books. We didn't even have the whole Srimad Bhagavatam or part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We had these little paperback chapters of the Bhagavatam. What was it? The Cause of All Causes. Different paperback, a chapter of Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture you can hear. We were there. We have 60 books, all 400 pages or more. And I was looking around, 60. Prabhupada knew there would be so many books. Srila Prabhupada was empowered by Krishna. And Prabhupada had mystical power. In 1975, I was traveling with a party with Radha Damodar. Brigupati Prabhu was on the party, Naikatma was on the party, and we all went to see Srila Prabhupada in New Vrindavan. And the day before we had come, Srila Prabhupada was lecturing the devotees very sternly that you should know the books like a lawyer knows the law books. Why you don't know the books? One devotee Janardhan, had asked Srila Prabhupada, well, the Christians, they say that they see God. So Prabhupada asked him, what is the verse? And Janardhan couldn't answer. Prabhupada looked at all the devotees, sannyasis in the front row. What is the verse? Nobody knew. And Prabhupada said, Srimad Bhagavad Gita 10:10. What is that? Tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam jainamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give them the understanding by which they may come to me. Prabhupada looked and said, why you didn't know the verse? So this poor brahmachari, he knew that verse, but he didn't know to quote that verse. So unfortunately he said, I knew that verse, Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, you can fool them, meaning the other Hare Krishnas, but you cannot fool me. I know. And Prabhupada looked. It was like Keshava that used to be on the cover of Isupanishad, looking down with the eyes looking down. Prabhupada said, no, I know. So the next day, we were all there at someone's home. It was an outdoor in June darshan. Srila Prabhu was preaching very nicely. They were reading from the Bhavan Journal. It was a magazine or a newspaper from India. And they were asking some questions. That book, that Bhavan Journal lectures, was turned into a book by BBT later called Civilization and Transcendence. It was questions about spirituality. So Prabhupada was quoting, and he quoted some verse from 7th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, which had just come out. Nobody knew the verse. 7th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Naivod Vijay Paraduratya Vaitaranyas Maya Sukaya Barambato Vimudhan. Srila Prabhupada quoted. And then he looked around at the devotees. You know that verse? Find that verse. It's a true story. Naikatma was there. Brigupati Prabhu was there. So the Swamis are looking through the book. Prabhupada said 7th canto. Different sannyasis all looking. No one could find the verse. It was so quick and they were so scared. I was hiding. There were 150 devotees. I hid behind the biggest one. Because who knew Prabhupada could call on anyone? I was so frightened. Because in those days, sometimes Prabhupada would be very strong. Hard like a thunderbolt and soft like a rose. So Prabhupada said, where's the verse? Show the verse. So then Prabhupada said, bring me the book. Harisari put this in his diary. I've also put it in different Vyasa Puja offerings. Prabhupada took the Bhagavatam and opened it. There was no marked page like in this one. There was nothing. Prabhupada opened the book and handed it to Harisari. And he read, Naivod Vijay Paraduratya Vaitaranyas Maya Sukaya. And it was the verse. And we were all sitting there, standing there, in awe of Srila Prabhupada's amazing quality. Not only he knew the Bhagavatam front and back, every verse, but he could open a book to the page without looking and without any prop. And after they read the verse, Sanskrit and English, all the devotees screamed out, Jai Prabhupada. And Prabhupada moved his head, acha, cha, cha, cha. And we knew then, Prabhupada was someone very, very, very special, empowered by Krishna to give us Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, to make us Krishna conscious. And if we have full faith and serve Srila Prabhupada very seriously and sincerely, then we too can get little bit. We'll never be able to get the empowerment that Srila Prabhupada got, or be Srila Prabhupada, I should say. You can get empowerment. You can never become as powerful as your spiritual master. But we can get some of his empowerment, like Arjuna. Prabhupada received the mercy of his spiritual master like our June, we can get some empowerment and be able to give Krishna consciousness to the most fallen living entities. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.